the village of Umuagu awoke with an unsettling tension. The air was thick with the promise of judgment, and the sun, though newly risen, burned hot as though the gods themselves were watching closely. In the heart of the village, beneath the towering Iroko tree, the people gathered to witness the fate of the sinners, Ebuka and Nnenna. Ebuka stood with his hands tied behind his back, his head bowed, his once proud shoulders slumped with shame. Beside him, Nnenna, her wrapper clutched tightly to her chest, trembled with fear. The weight of their sin bore down on them like an iron chain. The elders of Umuagu sat in a semicircle, their expressions unreadable. Their leader, the wise and ancient Motsi Nwafa, rose slowly, his staff in hand. He cleared his throat, and the crowd fell into silence. Ebuka, son of the late Motsi Obidike, you have committed a grave sin, Motsi Nwafa began, his voice steady but firm. You have lain with your father's wife, a deed so vile that even the gods turned their faces away in disgust. You have brought shame upon Chief Okeke, a man who took you into his household as a son. The villagers murmured in agreement, their eyes fixed on the disgraced young man. Motsi Nwafa then turned to Nnenna. And you, Nnenna, the youngest wife of Chief Okeke, you have dishonored your husband, betrayed his kindness, and polluted his bed with your filth. You were given the highest place a woman could have, yet you threw it away for lust. Chief Okeke stepped forward, his aged face twisted with fury. These two must face the punishment they deserve. I demand justice. The elders nodded solemnly. One of them, Motsi, spoke next. The gods demand cleansing. Ebuka shall drink from the calabash of judgment. If he is innocent, the gods will spare him. If guilty, they will mark him. A hush fell over the crowd. The calabash of judgment was feared by all. It contained a mixture prepared by the dibia, the village priest. If one was guilty, the drink would cause unbearable suffering, a sign that the gods had rejected them. A guard stepped forward, holding a small wooden cup filled with a dark, bitter liquid. The dibia, an old man with white chalk markings on his forehead, raised his hands to the sky and whispered incantations. Ebuka, drink, and let the gods judge you. With shaking hands, Ebuka took the cup and drank. The taste was foul, but he swallowed every drop, his heart pounding in terror. For a moment, nothing happened. The villagers watched in tense silence. Then, Ebuka let out a scream. His body convulsed violently, his hands clawing at his throat as though fire burned inside him. His legs buckled, and he fell to the ground, writhing in pain. His eyes rolled back, foam foaming at his lips. The gods have spoken, the dibia declared. Ebuka is guilty, and he shall be banished from Umuagu. A wail rose from the crowd. Women covered their mouths, while men shook their heads. Banishment was a fate worse than death. It meant being cast out into the world alone, with no family, no home, and no protection. Ebuka's mother, Ijeoma, ran forward, falling to her knees before the elders. Please, great ones. He is still my son. Spare him, she cried. But Chief Okeke's voice thundered above hers. No. He is no longer a son of this land. Let him wander as a cursed man. Tears streamed down Ijeoma's face, but she was powerless. The elders had spoken. Now it was Nnenna's turn to face judgment. She trembled, knowing her fate was sealed. Nnenna, Motsi Nwafa said, your punishment shall be as severe as your crime. You shall be stripped of your title as wife, your head shaved as a mark of disgrace, and you shall be exiled from Umuagu forever. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A woman's hair was her pride. To have it shaved was to be reduced to nothing. The guard stepped forward, and before Nnenna could protest, one of them grabbed a sharp blade and began cutting through her thick, beautiful hair. Strands fell to the ground like fallen leaves, and with each cut, Nnenna sobbed. No, please. Have mercy, she wailed. But no mercy was given. When the last lock was gone, she stood there, a shadow of her former self. Her beauty, once her weapon, was now taken from her. The elders signaled the guards. Take her away. Let her never return. With that, Nnenna was dragged through the village, her feet kicking up dust as she cried out for forgiveness. But no one listened. The people of Umuagu turned their backs on her. Ebuka, too, was escorted out of the village, a sack of meager belongings thrown over his shoulder. He did not look back. He knew he was dead to them now. For days, he wandered the forest and neighboring villages, but no one would accept him. His name carried a curse, and wherever he went, doors were shut in his face. As for Nnenna, her life became even worse. Villagers whispered of how she roamed from place to place, begging for shelter. Some say she was attacked by bandits, others that she wandered into the evil forest, where spirits claimed her. Her fate remained unknown. Back in Umuagu, the tale of Ebuka and Nnenna became a warning for all. Parents told their children, beware the path of lust, for it leads only to destruction. Chief Okeke never took another young wife again. His pride had been wounded, and though he remained powerful, his heart had grown cold. Ebuka'S mother, Ijeoma, mourned her son every day, but she never spoke his name again. Years passed, and the story faded into whispers, then into myths. But even generations later, when the villagers gathered around the fire at night, they still spoke of the man who lost everything to forbidden love. And so, the gods had their justice. The end.